All right, we are live. Hello, Succeeders. This is Stacy Barlow Hill, your leadership and lifestyle coach, helping you to become the best version of yourself and lead successfully. I'm so excited today. I have my good friend Joe Moss with us. Joe, I'm so excited to see you today.
I'm excited to be here. It's been a while,
Yeah.
but I'm excited
It
to be here.
has been. Joe and I grew up together. We were close friends growing up, and we were just talking before we went live here. I don't know how many times I've seen him in person since probably high school, but um, social media has kept us connected,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
feel like I see you all the time because I've seen you get married and your children and your business, and you've seen the same with me. So we
yeah.
feel like we've been a part of each other's lives without skipping a beat. But I don't think we've probably really seen each other in probably a couple of decades. But
Probably. Yeah, I think it's been probably at least 20 years, I imagine.
Yes, wonderful. Well, Joe, let you tell everybody about what you do and what you're up to these days.
Yeah. So, thanks, Stacy, for bringing me on today. I'm excited to be here. And um, and so one of the things that I like to do, everyone has like fancy titles and things in that regards, but I like to define myself about by like what I enjoy doing, and that's encouraging people. And so the one of the things that I do is that I encourage people to be the best they can be in different facets of life. But I have a unique opportunity to do it in a way of fitness and wellness coaching. And so, that's the beautiful thing. So it all ties together. So you can be a person that may be motivated or inspired to want to do, want to take care of yourself, but you have to have a plan in place on how to get to your destination. And so one of the things that I do is I help people put, plans in place so they can achieve whatever fitness or wellness goal that they have in life, so that they can live the life that they want to and be around for the people that matter to them most. So if you had to categorize it and turn it into a title, I'm a trainer.
Not just a trainer, but
you
I
know,
think that's why our souls vibe because we both are seeking to help people become the best versions of
Mhm.
themselves, and there's definitely different avenues to get there. But I love how you use trainer loosely, but there's so much more behind that. And quick story, real quick. My brother, every time your name is mentioned, he always tells the story about how he contacted you one time just to he wanted some quick advice on something he could be doing simple, like some quick push-ups or something real quick.
Mhm.
And he said he asked you, and he said instead of you giving him the simple answer he was expecting, you asked him, well, how bad do you really want it? And what are you going to do? What are you willing to do to get there? And all this stuff, and we laugh about it all the time, but it just shows your passion behind it. And you weren't just going to give him some simple do 5 push-ups, do 6 sit-ups, and you'll get this. It's a mental state behind it. It's not just do this and do that. It's what are you
Right.
willing to do to get there? What's your mindset? Why do you want this? And I think that's what you help to bring out of people. So walk us through what it looks like, maybe working with you. What does that process look like?
So it's interesting. I mean, that's what I hear, anyways. So we know that the body likes to stay the same. We are comfort seekers. When it comes to food, we like comfort foods. When it comes to
Mhm.
relaxing, we like to relax and just, not be bothered by anything. And so our body is wired to keep us safe. And so unless we can find a way to kind of override that, we'll just stay the same. And so
Mhm.
knowing that we are a collection of our habits and our behaviors, that if we don't begin to change our habits and behaviors, we're not going to be any different. And so what it looks like is that first thing we have to understand is that, all right, so where are we right now? We need to know your current location. I need to know like how you sleep, how you eat, how active you are, what type of family you have. Because the reason why that's important, because like the family is going to give you the support that you need. Okay.
Mhm.
So your levels of stress that you have. And so knowing all those factors will give us an understanding of, okay, well, all right, so this person has XYZ going on already. Now, if we don't worry, if we're not able to basically mold and shape this life the way that we need to do it, it's going to be very, very challenging for them to accomplish whatever goal that they're trying to accomplish. So I'll invade your life a little bit, but it's all for you. So you think about it like this. So our process is more so, you come in, we sit down, we talk, and we kind of get an understanding of where it is that you'd like to go. All right. So if you come to me and say, hey, I want to get in better condition, I need more energy, I want to lose some weight. Okay. Those are some of the top things that people say. Right. But unless we know, where you currently are at the moment, mentally, okay, emotionally, okay, we're not going to, it's going to be very, very tough to lead you to that place. And the reason why that is because like we have so many things that we hold on to that we won't let go of, And so when we're faced with a stronghold, something that grips us, we have to learn how to break down those barriers in order to be able to grab onto a new version of ourselves, And so that's kind of what we do. And we basically become the guide. We guide you to where it is you need to go based off of, your current lifestyle, your family factors, your environment, where you are emotionally, where you are spiritually, and obviously where you are physically, so that you can become the best version of yourself.
Awesome. What do you find a lot of time is that thing that keeps people in these mindsets? Like, do you notice maybe a difference when they first come in, and then maybe that light bulb moment where things start to change, or can you pinpoint anything?
So, one of the biggest things is the fear of the unknown. If people, they don't know what they're totally getting themselves into, or if they've never been to that place. You think about it. If you go to a new town, right? Go to a new city, and it's your first time driving around, and you're not real familiar with being there. What happens is that you're not going to drive as fast. Your head's on a swivel, looking around from left and right. And it just becomes a place where you're just not comfortable being there yet. And so as a person begins to get results, maybe they're exercising more, or maybe they're being more consistent with their eating and more consistent with their sleeping. Okay. Initially, it's not a habit yet. So what happens, the thing becomes like, okay, well, I'm venturing into this new place. This is very uncomfortable. And naturally the mind says, retreat back, go back to where you were, because this new place, it's just too uncomfortable right now. And the fear of not being able to stay there will take a person right on back. So it's just the fear of the unknown, and just and with a combination of it just not being comfortable yet.
Yeah, making those habits become lifestyle so that it's not scary anymore. Absolutely. Well, Joe, I know as long as I've known you, you've always been in shape. I've known you in your wrestling days. And so maybe tell everyone else a little bit about your journey of how you got to this place.
Okay. So when it comes to like the physical aspects of things, I started wrestling at an early age. I was like 9, I believe, when I started wrestling. And funny story is that, won, championships and things like that. But when I started, like, I believe it took me like 2 years to win a trophy. Like, it was bad. We went to like 2 straight years of losing. Every weekend we lost. Come in, we win maybe 1 match or 2 matches, and all the other matches we would lose. And then my dad would always.
You didn't get a trophy for just showing up like they do now?
You don't get anything for showing up. They take your registration money and they're out. That's it. But it taught me something valuable. Is that if there's something that you really, really want, you're gonna have to work hard to get it, and you're gonna have to put the extra work in. So my dad used to ask us all the time and says, listen, he said, we would lose. He was like, do you like that feeling? And I'm just like, no, I don't like that feeling. He said, if you don't like losing, win. Okay. All right. Well, I said, well, Dad, how do I win? He's like, I'm glad you asked. And so then he would take us through a process of showing us the things that we would need to do as far as putting extra work in, putting extra time in order to get better. I mean, so it was just a process. From wrestling, we played football, and but fast forward to like high school, I played football, played middle linebacker and linebacker for Sharon, and also wrestled, through those years as well. I actually ultimately got recruited to wrestle Division I at Slippery Rock University, and when I got there, I didn't want to do it. I had a full scholarship, and I just didn't want to do it. And so, and that was just another day. And so when I got there, I needed something to do because I decided not to wrestle. So I literally started working out. I started training. I started working on my body and just trying to get it in as best condition that I knew how. And so what happened was that became my sport. Bodybuilding, weightlifting became my sport, and I, they would have a competition every year on campus. They had like a bodybuilding show on campus every year, and so I would do that show, every year, and it took me into my last year to actually win the entire show. I became Mr. Slippery Rock University, and it was cool. It was a nice little experience. But after I graduated, that was it. And then I found out once you get into the real world, you don't have 3-4 hours a day just to spend at the gym. It just doesn't work like that. You got to work, and you have responsibilities now, right? And so what I did was I came out, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was coaching football, coaching wrestling. I'd moved back home with my parents. It wasn't a real great place for me, as far as like mentally, because I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. And so eventually I started going to church more, started, making sure that my relationship with God was better. And he began to reveal some things to me, and I ended up going back to school, got a master's degree in exercise science, and graduated and started working for a place called Special Orthopedics as an exercise physiologist, doing wellness programs for people. So, and then from there, I became a strength and conditioning coach at Hickory High School, working with all their athletes. And eventually I ventured out and built BlessBody Fit. So, and that's where we are now.
I love it. I love it. You were talking about some of your competitiveness. I was thinking about you come from a large family. You have quite a few siblings, and I think about my own children, and they get consistent straight A's. But I think it's mainly because they compete against each other. Like they have it's not unhealthy. I mean, it actually I think has helped them. But I was wondering if some of your competitiveness might have come from being in the midst. I know you're close to all of your siblings. You all have a beautiful relationship, but did you think some of your competitiveness came from trying to find your way in the midst of your siblings?
I think a lot of it has. So I'm the oldest, so it's kind of tough to compete with, like, your little sister. But I do have a brother that's, my brother Jared. He's 15 months younger than I am, and we used to compete, but I'll admit that I was more of like a bully towards him than actual competition. Because I was always bigger, I was always stronger than he was in that regards. But the competition came where I think was more of like just not wanting to be bad at something. Like learning trying to master whatever it is that I was doing. And for me in life is that, like, everything that I've ever started, like I wasn't any good at when I initially started. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to do it. And I guess the drive that comes from just trying to figure it out. Like, you know what, I just can't be terrible at this. There are people doing it. I will go through the process. We will learn what I need to learn. I will take the lumps that I need to take in order to become the best version of myself at whatever it is I'm pursuing. And so even in business, like, I didn't know what I was doing, when I got my master's degree, like my undergrad's in communications. and I went and got a master's degree in exercise science. Like, it's just like the two don't even like they work together now as far as communication,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but as far as like the understanding, like there were like physician's assistants and athletic trainers and in my master's classes. And I'm sitting there like, I didn't have one science class, one exercise science class, or one class dealing with anatomy or the body. So I had to do a lot of catch up. But that to me was like, okay, if there's people in here that can do this, I know I can do it too. I'm just gonna have to work harder, sacrifice more time and more effort in order to get it done.
Mhm.
You
I
know?
love that transparency, because oftentimes people see where you are now and they don't know what it took to get there, or know that you just didn't wake up and were born doing this and it just always came naturally to you.
Mhm.
Even myself, people will come to me and make it seem like it happened overnight, and I'll say it didn't happen overnight. This was decades and decades of learning and trial and error, and still, even today, not having all the answers. Just
Right.
trusting God, and and knowing that when God has called you to something for His service, that He's going to provide you the way to get there. And that's really what we have to rely on, is our faith, and knowing that we've been called to serve in this capacity, and that He's going to provide that way for us. So I love your transparency on that. We don't always have it together.
No, no,
No.
I'll be the first one to admit that I don't always have it together.
Yes,
My
absolutely.
wife will probably tell you the same thing. We don't
That's
always have it
great.
together, but the point is that we just got to be willing to stay in there, willing to trust God.
Mhm.
And my slogan last year was trust God and go.
I love
Trust
it.
God and go, because
I'm writing that down.
go ahead, write it down. Trust God and go. Because what happens is this: like if I have to, if God gives me an idea, or if He shows me, an answer to something, the trust God and goes means that you just immediately begin action on it. Okay,
Mm.
because God said it,
Mhm.
because He showed it to me.
Mhm.
I don't need anything else.
Mhm.
I'm just
Mm-mm.
gonna step out in faith and go with it, and I will
Mm.
learn in the process. People say, well,
Yes.
don't you want to plan this, that, and the other? I mean, you will, but where are you going to get the plan from? You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
And so I realized that if I wait, if I wait, by the time I begin to understand, it's too late.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's too late.
Yep.
And
And
some things you can only learn by doing. So,
yes, absolutely. What do you feel like has been one of your maybe biggest life lessons up to this point?
well, one of the biggest ones is just that trusting God and knowing that if He's leading you in direction, if He's leading me in the direction to go, to do it, to be obedient and do it. And so I'll
Mhm.
share the story with you. So when I went back to graduate school, it's back in like 2004 now, but when I went back to graduate school, I felt that God was calling me to go pursue this direction in life, with wellness and fitness and things in that regards. And so I committed. I said, you know what? I'm going to go all in. I'm cutting everything loose, and I'm going to go full time in this direction. Okay. Now, during that process, a job opportunity opened up while I was in graduate school. Okay.
Mhm.
And so it became a challenge because, I wasn't working. I needed money. Okay.
Mhm.
I just met my wife. She had already been through school because she's a couple years older than I am. And so here it is. I'm trying to get my life together so we can move forward with our life. And an opportunity came up, and while I was in grad school, actually a job at the university opened up. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh wow,
Mhm.
this is a great opportunity. And actually, the director of the particular program came and approached me on it. Okay, they said, listen, Joe, we got this job opening, and we think you'd be a great candidate for the job. And I actually worked for the person when I was an undergrad. Okay, and that was person
Mhm.
was the director of the department. And she said, listen, we are I'm doing the hiring, and I'll even write you a letter of recommendation. okay,
Mm.
for the job. I said, wow. And she said, I'm also doing the interviewing. She said, so so it looks really good for you. I said, wow. I said, this is great. I said, I got everything in my favor. I said, very rarely does the person rates your recommendation. Also, the person is doing the hiring. Also, the person is doing the interviewing. And it's also someone that you worked for previously, and they really like what you did. I mean, so to have all those things in your corner. So I go knock the interview out. Things go well. So a couple of weeks go by. I don't hear anything. So I'm like, this is kind of weird. Normally they call you and let you know something. So what happens was I stop into the office and I say, well, I said, I was just wondering if, what the word was on the position. And she was like, well, we filled that last week
Mm.
and walked away. And I was like, that's it? Like, like that's it. I didn't get any notification. I didn't get anything in that regard. It was just like, it was completely shut down. And so what I realized is that, okay, I could have messed things up, my destiny in life, had I been selected for that position. Okay. And so I thank God every day that was shut down. Now, I don't even know the reason why it didn't work out, but all those things in my favor. But all I
Mhm.
do know is like, if that would have happened, it would have changed the course of this destiny. We wouldn't be having this conversation right now. All the
Yeah.
people that God has helped, used me to help save their lives and get rid of certain, help them with the different issues and things that they were having physically and mentally and emotionally wouldn't have happened. And so, so it's kind of like one of those lessons where it's like, listen, if God calls you to do something and you're the one that he's choosing for the job, do it. Do it. Because there it was. If the opportunity was there, I would have chosen it. But he had to shut it down. So it's just like one of those things that always kind of stayed with me. It's like,
Mm.
listen, stay in your place, do what you're supposed to do, because I could have messed that up big time, you know.
Absolutely. I love it. Absolutely. Yeah. God sees things that we don't see and the plan ahead for us. But I love that because sometimes we think that shiny apple, it looks perfect
Hmm.
and what
Yes,
could go wrong? And especially at that age, because I'm sure you needed the money and it was probably like, yeah, let's go, let's do this. And not understanding why that didn't happen. But I was just talking to someone this morning about God pruning us sometimes and
hmm,
the process of being pruned. And pruning hurts. Like it's not an enjoyable process. Like when you prune your garden and prune plants and prune things, that
right,
process hurts and it hurts at that moment. But if you can only see what God sees ahead of that, after you get through that process. And when you prune plants and you prune your bushes and your garden, you see the harvest that comes from that afterwards.
right,
And that's what we have to stay focused on is what's going to come after that. What can I learn in this season? What can I learn from the rejection? What can I learn from God saying no to this thing?
right. That's
Now,
so
fast
true.
forward, you can see. I'm glad that happened to me. That's awesome. I love that. Um, so, what do you think is one word that describes you best?
One word that describes me best. Oh, geez, that's a tough one. I would have to say um, faithful.
Mm, okay.
Faithful. If I had to describe, I would say faithful. Because I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stick with whether it's a person or a thing until it gets done. My son has homework a lot of
Mhm.
times. He gets frustrated. I'm not going anywhere till he gets it done. I'm right there. Now we're gonna be frustrated. We might be frustrated together, but but I let him know, like, listen, I'm here. If I say I'm gonna be there, I'm here. If that's just kind of how I roll in life. And faithful also meaning that I'm gonna step out and do it even if it's hard to see. You know,
Mhm.
it's one of those things where I've learned to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And like, it's just, if God is in it, like, he's going to see you through it. He's not going to give you a plan and not provide how to get it done. That's just the way it works. Now now you notice I don't have any hair left. But no one said it was gonna be easy, right? No one said it was
Right?
gonna be easy. But I mean, but you will. It is faithful is what it is. I mean, I think I'm gonna stick it. I'm gonna stick to it to the end, and we're gonna get through it. And I'm not saying that you don't make adjustments. I'm not saying I'm gonna hold on to being sane about it, where I'm trying to do the same thing the same way and expect different results. That's not it. But it's just whatever needs to be accomplished in life, as far as mission, purpose, promise. We're going to stick with it. We're going to get it done. So
I love it. As you were talking about your kids, I don't know if you posted a video last week or something, but it was your kids working out at the park.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
but it made me think about just, I guess, kind of maybe what our kids might say behind our backs. I remember my children were running late for dance practice one day, and somehow I ended up into this whole talk about how leaders aren't late and you need to show up. And they said, but Mom, we're always the first ones there. Everybody else is late. And it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. Like, you need to be on time. You're a leader. You set the time. And they both just busted out laughing. And I was like, what? And they said, Mom, you just turned being late into a whole leadership talk. And they were like, it wasn't that serious. And but I was picturing your kids like probably like, all right, Dad, come on. Like, we only got to do like 1,000 push-ups today. Like, it's good. Like, leave me alone.
It's interesting that you said that, because my daughter, she came to me the other day and she's like, I told her, I said, listen, you're gonna have to develop some type of routine. You need a routine.
Oh, wait, she's little. How old is she?
She's 7. She'll be 8 in May. Okay. And she's like, she said, what are you talking about? Exercise? I said, you said it, not me. I think that's a great idea. And she was like, well, I'm not working out with you. He said, all your exercises hurt. All your exercises hurt. I ain't messing with you. I said, well, you can come up with some stuff on your own. I said, but you got to develop a routine, Yes. So, but now my son has a pull-up bar in his room. We put up a pull-up bar in his room. Actually, like it's in his doorway. And so every time he goes in and out of his room, he does pull-ups. Okay. So it's like, so his password
on his own?
On his own.
On his own? Okay.
I didn't make that up. He actually told me about it. And I was like, really? That's what you do? And I said, oh, that's great. And so what happens is that each kid has their password to get into their room. Okay. Mm-hmm. So one was my daughter's, for him, was some kind of silly dance he had to do, but she keeps changing it so that he never knows what it is. So it's always a new one. So he can't ever get in. Every time, so he'll do the silly dance. And she's like, well, that was last week. It's changed now. And so he won't even know the new password. So what he did was he set his as the pull-ups, 3 pull-ups to get into the room.
Oh.
And she's like, it's not fair. That's not fair, Josiah. I can't even reach the bar. That's not my fault. 3 pull-ups gets you in. And he'll jump up and get his 3 in, and then he'll enter this room. And when he exits this room, he'll do 3 more.
Wow.
So
I love it.
On his own, so.
Yeah, that says a lot about you. That means you've already instilled that in them, whether they recognize it or not. They've already are rising to the call of greatness. So I applaud you and your wife as parents. You are obviously doing something great. I can't wait to see them grow up, and I know they're going to be little leaders doing something one day. Obviously. All right, Joe. Well, we are just about done, but I want you to tell people where they can find you, how they can work with you, and we'll put the links in the broadcast too, but just let people know how they can find you and where they can work with you.
Yeah. So probably the easiest way to contact me would be like Instagram. You could probably like message me. I go by Jotivation, so it'd be at Jotivation, and it's just Jotivation. I think that's how you spell it. But anyways, motivation. If you had the word motivation, you take off the M and you put a J, and that's who I am. That's the best way to do it. Motivation, or you can visit BlessBodyFitness.com. It's actually the business, and we have some things on there that you can contact us that way as well. So.
Okay, you said BlessBody Fitness.
Yeah, so it's BlessBodyFitness.com.
Okay. Put that up on the screen.
Yeah.
BlessBodyFitness.com.
Yeah.
And you are in Youngstown,
I'm
Ohio,
in
right?
Youngstown, Ohio. Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you do anything virtually for
Oh, that's
those that are in
coming.
the area?
That is
It's
coming.
coming.
That's coming.
Okay.
So we're working on something now. Where we're working on creating like online academy. So we'll
Mhm.
be doing some
Okay.
online coaching and nutrition coaching and behavior coaching and some fitness stuff. That's coming real soon. So that's expected to be out probably May, June is what we're looking at for that right now. So that'll be launched. I'll
Wonderful.
definitely keep you in contact, on how that goes. And
Yes, for
but
sure.
that's our next thing is our big thing is that taking a lot of things that we do in house and just teaching the principle so that people know how to live life. That's the biggest thing. I mean, it's like anybody can.
Mhm.
I tell people, I say anybody can clap their hands in church. The
Yeah,
biggest thing is that what do you do when you leave out those doors?
believe. Yeah.
That's going to be the biggest thing. So you need to learn how to live life, and that's what we want to teach you how to do.
Absolutely. Well, if you recognize that you need a change in your lifestyle, health, and fitness, you need to go find Joe. He will take care of you. I highly recommend him. I have known him majority of my life, and I can't say anything bad about him. He's a stand-up guy, full of integrity, full of faith. He will not lead you astray. Um, Joe, thank you for being here. I
Well, thank
appreciate you. It
you.
was
Thank you.
wonderful to catch up with you. And maybe you'll come back again and join us sometime.
Yeah, if you'll have me, I'll be back.
Absolutely. Well, if you are part of the Successful Soul Circle, we are going to continue on in the Facebook group. Joe is going to give us a talk on the importance of your purpose. And this is right in theme with what we've been working on this week. We've been talking about our purpose. We just finished up the 3-day Find Your Purpose Challenge. We're going to start a book this month on God's purpose for you and your plan. So he is right on topic with this. So we are going to continue that in the Successful Soul Circle. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat. You can always catch the replay that'll be housed in your online classroom. And if you haven't joined yet, you need to go join. There's the link in the description of this broadcast. You can join it and still have access to the replay once you join. So, Joe, thank you again. We are going to sign off now. And those of you in the Successful Soul Circle, we'll see you in just a few minutes.